So we have another two important parts in skeletal system. So what is the difference between ligaments and tendons? Ligaments connects bone to bone while tendons connect muscle to bone. So the most important tendon is the Achilles tendon. Ito yung nagko-connect ng nerves natin, kasama yung nerve natin sa ating appendicular skeleton, okay, sa ating femur, sa thigh natin, sa paa, simula sa paa hanggang sa spine. So, kapag naputol yung Achilles tendon na yun, so agad-agad may paralysis. So, importante din tong Achilles tendon, lalo na sa mga athletes and of course sa lahat ng tao. Okay. Next is we have the different joints of the body. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 kinds of joints. We have the ball and socket joint, hinge joint, pivot joint, gliding joint, partially movable joint, and immovable joint. Each kind of joint has their particular location, structure, and use. So for the ball and socket joint, it can be found in the shoulder and hips. The use is for freedom of motion. So, ball and socket joint, dito yan sa shoulders. So, we can rotate and, ayun, para maraming motion na magawa. Lahat naman ng nandito, very self-explanatory. So, I will also send this PowerPoint. Yan, aside from this video. So, nandyan naman lahat ng location, structure, and use for the kinds of joint. Next, okay. So, for each joint, meron tayong joint movements na tinatawag. So, the first joint movements that I'm going to discuss is flexion and extension. When we say flexion, it is the movement which decreases the angle between two bones, and extension is the opposite of flexion. So, ito yung video ko ng flexion and extension. That is flexion and extension. Flexion, extension. Okay? So, kung makikita nyo dun sa flexion, ayan. So, meron dyang the angle between two bones. Yung bones ko sa humerus, and then dun sa radius and ulna. Okay? So, meron dong angle. So, that is flexion again, and then extension. Okay. So, for the next one, next joint movements, we have abduction and adduction. So, abduction is the movement away from the center line of the body. So, yan. Kapag nakatayo tayo, ito yung center line natin dito sa thoracic part. So, ano bang ibig sabihin ng abduction? Example is moving our hands or the appendicular, okay, sideways. Yan. So, that is abduction. And then, opposite of, ayan, abduction, moving the hands sideways sa center line. And then, adduction, ayan, opposite of abduction. Again, abduction and adduction. So, next we have rotation. So, the pivoting of bones in an axis. Example is turning the head side to side. So, ayan. Rotation. The pivoting of bones in an axis, turning the head side to side. Next, we have here circumduction, describing something with a moving arc. Example, here is my hand describing a circle. It may be my finger or the whole hand. So, finger lang. Yan. Describing circle. That is circumduction. So, yung joint naman yon between the metatarsal and the phalanges. Tapos, dito naman, sa circumduction, yung ginawa ko with my hand, Ang nagmo-move naman doon na joint ko or yung bone ko is the tarsal between carpals pala, sorry. Metacarpals and phalanges yung sa fingers. Kapag naman dito sa wrist ay yung carpals ko. Between my carpals and my metacarpals. Next. We have joint movements, supination and pronation. In supination, it is turning the palm forward. So, ang nag-rotate dito yung aking carpals. Ayan. Pag supination, turning the palm forward. Pronation, turning back of the hand. So, again, we have here supination, turning the hand palm forward. And then, we also have pronation, which is turning back of the hand. Okay, next joint movement, sa paa naman tayo. So, ankle movement, turning sole of foot forward. So, that is known as inversion. Ayan, kapag paloob, inversion yung tawag. Kapag naman eversion, opposite, syempre, turning sole of foot outward. Inversion and eversion. Next, we have another joint movement, which is dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. So, in dorsiflexion, it is the feet movement upward. Ayan, that is dorsiflexion. And plantar flexion, feet movement downward. Ayan. Next, protraction and retraction. So, in protraction, it's moving a part of a body forward. Example, ayan. So, that is protraction. So, nag-move yung thoracic part ko forward. While retraction, of course, the opposite of protraction. So, again, protraction and retraction. So, pwede rin namang kamay yung gamit. Halimbawa is, itong upper extremity ko. So, arms forward. Yung arms forward na yun, ayan, arms forward, that is already protraction. Pag arms downward, so retraction din yun. Depending lang kung anong part yung gumagalaw. Next, ayan. So, tapos na tayo dun sa joint movements. Next are the bone problems related bone problems. The first one is fallen arches. Fallen arches also known as being flat-footed. So, meron tayong dalawang type ng arch or dalawang arc sa ating paa. Longitudinal arc starting from the ankle up to the toes, that is our longitudinal arc. Kapag naman transverse arc, yun yung nasa ibabaw. Across across our plantar. Ayan. So, yun yung transverse arc. So, yung flat foot, so makikita nyo dito, ayan, walang arc yung kanyang paa. So, yung sole ng feet niya, walang arc. While the normal foot has a longitudinal arc. Meron din naman mga foot na may high arc. Ayan. So, yun yung first bone problem. Next, resulting to being flat-footed, nagkakaroon tayo ng callus na tinatawag or yung callus sa paa. Ayan. So, makikita nyo dito yung picture. Next, we have bunyon. So, in bunyon, we have there bony enlargement of the joint between the big toe and the metatarsal. Ayan. So, ito yon bunyon. So, merong bunyon na mild, moderate, large, and severe. Ayan. Sometimes, bunyon is caused by shoes that are unfitted. Ayan. So, kung masikip yung sapatos na sinusuot, ayun yung nangyayari. Nagkakaroon ng bunyon. Next, corns. So, corns also are also result of unfitted shoe. So, dito sa corns, these are thickened areas of the epidermis. Okay, so it may develop on the toes or between the toes. Ito yun, yan, corns. Next, ruptured disc. So, in ruptured disc, it is caused by carrying too much heavy bags. Ayan, so anong nangyayari? So, yung mga cartilage natin dito, so due to too much pressure, nagbabulge yung ating disc or yung ating cartilage, yung vertebral cartilage natin. It may cause rupture, ayan, or pagputok ng cartilage, lumulobo muna siya. Ayan, nagbabulge siya. Tapos, nagiging herniated disc. Ayan, herniated disc is also known as ruptured disc. Hanggang sa pumutok yung cartilage. Okay. Next, we have here, the last one, which is scoliosis. Ayan, scoliosis may occur during puberty. Upon observation, a person's spine with scoliosis appears S-shaped or one shoulder is higher than the other. So, yung treatment in scoliosis may be putting brace, surgery, and electrical stimulation. So, ito yung mga itsura ng scoliosis. This is the typical spine or the normal spine. Merong tinatawag na C-shaped scoliosis, yung banda sa gitna, yung irregularity ng spine. Ayan, pwede rin namang sa baba. Wait lang. At yung isa naman ay yung S-shaped scoliosis. Next. We have different kinds of bone fractures. The first one is the green stick fracture. In green stick fracture, there's a break in bone fibers but not the entire bone itself. So, dito, ang may fracture sa kanya, yung radius niya. Yan, sa kamay. So, hindi yung buong radius, meron lang yung sa part lang ng radius. So, that is green stick fracture. Next one is the simple or closed fracture. So, the difference here, dito naman, ang meron niyang bone fracture ay ang kanyang tibia. So, dito, yung tibia niya, yung tibia bone, yung buong bone, so in simple, a bone may be completely broken, but the bone does not pierce to the skin. So, yung bone lang yan. Buong bone. Next, we have the last one, the last type of bone fracture, which is the compound or open fracture. Dito sa open, ayan, so makikita nyo, completely nabali na yung buto. So, sa humerus naman yung bali nito. Ayan, so kung makikita nyo, ito yung humerus niya. Nag-pierce na siya. So, that is open fracture. Tumagos na sa laman. Ayan, ito yon. Okay. Yan, so that's the part 2 of skeletal system. So, on Monday, there will be a test for integumentary and skeletal system.